is probably going to be wrong. So then I'll see if I can change it. I
Okay.
don't see that, but so you could be talking.
All right.
So
I'm just kind of like walking, by the way, everybody. This is just kind of a different live stream on my end, but sometimes I like to go outside and I like to walk and do live streams with Aya when I'm walking because it's a nice day and it's still quite warm in California. So like to me, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cooler because it's maybe 89 degrees. Like to me, that feels cooler after months of like 100 plus some days. 89 degrees feels kind of cool to me, but not to the average person. Everybody else is going to tell you it's super hot, but I'm just a lizard is what everybody said. Everybody says that I'm a lizard because it will be 100 degrees outside and I'm walking and they're like, are you a lizard? And I said, maybe. I don't know. Like people, they literally tell me that. Maybe I'm a lizard. I don't know. Or a reptilian creature of some kind. So not literally, but figuratively. Yes, the moon is really amazing, by the way. It's like in a gibbous phase right now. I really like it. I was just noticing, like, you know, when you can see part of the moon when it's in the early, I think it's fading actually from the full moon. But anyway, I should have looked at the moon cycle before but it's just so beautiful. It's a very nice day. So you've been kind of looking at your books, right, as you're going through books and everything. I've really enjoyed like some of the books you've been sharing. And for me, like, okay, what am I going to say about books? I like to read, and it's not that I'm not loving to read lately, but this is my take on reading. I've been like editing my blog more. I've been reading articles of interest a little bit more. Like when I have a chance, a lot of projects, so I don't always sit there and read a book like in X amount of time, which, you know, if you're in school, you have to do that. You need to consume many pages of content within books to write papers, or just if you have a lot of free time and that's your only hobby is books, then, you know, I think books are wonderful. But I just, right now, I'm kind of like in this part of my life where I'm really busy with work all the time. And then when I have free time, I'm working on some of my creative projects or cleaning or doing something like that. So I don't just like, it's not that I don't like books. It's just I don't have 5,000 years to just read a book in a week or something, you know? Anyway, I was just talking while you were gone about books. But I think Aya's still sharing everything that we're going to be talking about. So I guess I just want to share once again, like somebody told me the other day that they've read like 100 books this year, which I think is great if you can do that. But kind of going back to the live stream we did on this channel last week, some people don't remember everything that they read, you know? And I also feel like too, okay, I love to read still. It's not that I don't like to read, but I feel like I've become a little bit more picky in the last few years about like what I'm reading and the content I'm reading. And sometimes I don't want to just speed read something just to say, oh, I read X number of books, because if it's a book I don't enjoy, I don't want to just be sitting there just reading that. So I don't think it's like a contest to see how many books you read. I think it's just read when you feel inspired, read when you have time, read to learn something, read to be entertained. Don't read something just because, well, here's an example. Everybody loved that book, The Girl on the Train, and I didn't want to read it.
Are you there, Julia?
Aya, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me?
It just like kind of froze, I thought, for a second, but maybe it's just me because the sun's kind of glaring off the phone. So anyway, what was the topic of our live stream today?
Our live stream today is about Israel, the two halves of the nation, but I sort of shortened it. to the Two Halves of the Nation. And so what I've been doing on and off occasionally is reading to people from my father's book, which is called Israel, the Two Halves of the Nation, and it is available from Inverted A Press. Can you see the Inverted A there?
I do see it. So that's like the forerunner logo that you had for the press back when your father founded it, correct?
Yes, my father founded it. The Inverted A stands for the bull god of the Phoenicians, and it's the first letter of the alphabet. It's the head of a bull.
That's interesting. Wow.
So it's really the first letter of the alphabet that we all share.
Yeah, definitely. But remember the graphologists who said that there was no handwriting before 1700? Oh my goodness, just joking.
Or more, yeah, and at one time possibly no alphabet, but yes, there was.
Okay, so I'm kind of in somewhere like, okay, see me?
Yeah, kind of see your shirt more than your head.
Let's see. I don't know if that's gonna work. I'm just trying. Okay, what can I do? Okay, can you see me now? Maybe I'll just hold it. I think that's the best I can do. I can't really, but at least I'm not wiggling around. So.
Okay, I'm going to show you a map in my father's book, and you tell me what you see. Okay, if you
I
can't
see
it.
Israel and the Sinai Peninsula.
Okay, do you see anything that would be in Lebanon today?
Well, like Lebanon, yes, I do see Lebanon, like, as well, right? Lebanon, Israel,
Yes.
and Sinai Peninsula.
Yeah, it's not divided into those countries. It's just
No, it's just like it's as it was at that time of the Phoenicians, right? Is that what the map is?
Yes. So there's Tyre right here.
I see Tyre.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and there's the Red Sea.
Oh, nice.
And there's the Dead Sea. And there's the Sea of Galilee. Can you see those?
I can see it. It's just a little tiny on the screen, but I was trying to put myself in a place where I'm visible too. But yes, I do see it. I know what it looks. I have a general idea of where it is on the map, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
It's a little hard to see on the phone screen.
Okay, so there's a page that just has terminology, and I thought I would share that with you because I know people find it tedious when everybody redefines things. No, Julia, yeah, you were fine. You're great.
I'm trying to make the volume louder because I can't hear you when I'm over there.
Okay. Okay, I like the place where you are. It looks nice and peaceful.
Yeah, because nobody's here on Saturday.
Okay. So here's the terminology. Palestine, a geographical term describing a historic region in the Middle East. The term is also used for the territory of that name administered by Britain between 1919 and 1948, synonymous with the Hebrew term land of Israel, Eretz Israel. Palestinian, of or relating to Palestine. When used to describe specifically the Arabic-speaking segment of the population of Palestine and its separate or exclusive identity, the term is used in quotes. Palestinian. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hebrew. Adjective is used to mean related to the Hebrew language. It is used specifically to describe a culture that emerged in Palestine in the first half of the 20th century, coming into sharp definition in the 40s. This usage of Hebrew, which was never understood outside of Israel, is a central concept of this writing. Chapters 1 and 2 go to great length to explain and describe the Hebrew culture, spirit, and world outlook. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. Did you get any of that? I don't know if I was clear.
I do get what you're saying. So these people may have had slightly different religions, but they're the same people. They all lived in the same area. And to my understanding, which might be controversial to some people, but which is the truth, this whole idea of the Palestinian, like the Arab Palestinian, it's a modern construct really out of the pan-Arab movement of the 20th century. And that's kind of the truth of it, you know? It really is. I mean, some people don't like to hear that, but that's what that is, you know?
Right. I'll tell you what, can you see this well enough to read it?
You want me to read it? Because I'm not going to be able to see that on the screen. I'm so sorry. I can't.
That's okay.
It's too tiny.
Okay, so I'm going to read the term Jew. The term is used in the normally accepted way to describe loosely those people around the world who in their own eyes and in the eyes of others are considered Jews. The term does not imply adherence to the Jewish religion. References to the religion are made explicitly. Jewish of or relating to the Jews, the term does not imply a relationship to the Jewish religion. References to the religion are made explicitly. Arab, noun, a person of Arabia or belonging to an Arabic-speaking Arab nation created in the wake of the Arab conquests of the 7th century.
Conquest. It's like it's a well,
Yes.
like especially like okay, maybe like with the groups of people like some that are more on the eastern side of Jordan, closer to Saudi Arabia, will have more of a Arabian admixture. But honestly, people like of Christian lineage in Lebanon, Jewish lineage in Syria, in Israel are all the same people. They're 11 Phoenician people, and it's a construct with the Arab conquest and the pan-Arab movement. That's just my opinion, and that's the truth. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth, you know? Like,
yeah. Okay, so when used to designate in this book, when used to designate individuals whose classification as Arabs is being challenged in the book, term is used again in quotes. Okay. So, okay. Israel, the modern state of Israel and its institutions. References to ancient Israel are made explicitly. Okay, and there are two maps. I don't know if you can see them at all. If you do see them, tell me what you see.
I see like I do see like a partition of some kind. It looks like it's hard. I see
better.
Yeah, that's better. It's just I do see. I mean, I see the Sinai. I see Israel, Palestine. Like it's just hard to see on my phone. That's it.
I know. This is not the ideal situation. So this is the border set by Britain by the UN, 1918 to 1947, apparently for Palestine. So it was really very weird looking borders, right?
Yeah, and what we have to remember about borders is these borders were created by European mandate, French mandate, English mandate, but this was all one land one time without those superimposed borders,
Right.
Where all these people were ethnically very similar, but might follow slightly different religions, but all Abrahamic religions, really,
Yes. Well, all of them Semitic religions. I don't know Abrahamic. Okay, let's just for a minute stop with Abraham because.
Okay, well, you're more like wanting the Phoenician.
Right, exactly. So the Abrahamic stuff is monotheistic, but we didn't used to be. monotheistic.
Yeah, it used to be polytheistic under the Phoenician times.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so this is expansion of Israel, 48 to 67. Okay, so basically after the 6-day war, the Sinai Peninsula was entirely under Israel's control. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and we left in 1970 because of what happened. So
yeah, I like that piece that you wrote. So interesting. More people should read it. That story, the Punky Wunkies.
Yes, yes.
I love the Punky Wunkies, and that's not even a book. If you're too busy to read a book, I read that story, I think, one Saturday afternoon. I'm like, this is really good. It's very interesting. It explains a lot about like that time period if you want to know, things about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking of putting that out eventually. But anyway, this is a picture. It might be really hard to see. They're 3 guys, 1, 2, 3, and they are from left to right. Ze'ev Jabotinsky, okay? Abraham Edelson, and Shlomo Gepstein.
Oh, wow. I like that picture, though. Very.
Yeah, so he's writing acknowledgments and credits here to them. Or to other people as well. And he wrote, I would like to thank Professor Leon Weinberger for encouraging me to write this book, even though the plan he offered for getting it published fell through. Thanks is also due to late Professor Tzvi Lin for reading an early version of the manuscript and offering his comments. Major thanks are due my daughter, Dr. Hanna Katz, for going over the manuscript, helping clean it of misprints and chance errors, improving English idiom and usage, and pointing out passages that needed clarification. I rely on Aya's expertise as a linguist. The footnote on page 14 is due to her. English translations of fragments of Hebrew poetry that appear throughout the book are my own. In this too, I accepted a great deal of help from Aya, who is an accomplished poet. The translation of Rachel by Rachel, page 19, is our joint. Okay, so chapter 1 is the emergence of modern Israel. Okay.
I have a quick question, Aya. Are you ever going to republish this book on Inverted A Press so people could buy it on Amazon?
It's already published by Inverted A Press.
Oh, it is?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I guess I'd have to look for it and see, okay.
It's listed, and you can order it, and I have tons of books. I have copies of it. They're hard copy books. They're hardcover books.
Oh, nice.
And I have so many of them. I don't see any reason to right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't reprint. I was just curious. Okay, I totally get it. I just wanted to ask first. Sorry.
Yeah, but anybody who wants to buy one can. It's there.
Okay.
I'll tell you something else, though, totally unrelated, that I wonder about. I looked at In Case There's a Fox, the old one, not the one in Hebrew.
Yeah.
They had it for I don't remember, $44. And I was looking for the one that I was selling at around $10.
Yeah.
I can't find that one on Amazon. I can only find the $44 one, which I am sure is not me.
That's not you. And I think maybe, I don't know how, but I think that should be reported to Amazon, because I don't think somebody should be able to sell your book for some marked up price like that. It seems very weird to me, but I don't know.
I don't look. I mean, if they're buying my book and reselling it for a higher price, that's fine. I don't mind that. But why isn't the lower price also listed? That's what I want to understand.
Yeah, or contact Amazon and say, well, shouldn't my publication, my original $10 publication, which is through Inverted A Press, be like the first in the search? That is what I would think.
I couldn't even find it at all. It's like they unpublished it, but I didn't unpublish it. So I don't know
Oh,
what's going
does this
on.
have something to do with Create Space? Did Create Space like not tell you guys but publish certain things without your consent? I wonder.
Well, CreateSpace went out of business, but it's all going through Kindle now.
Okay.
But the other
But here's
books
a thought. Maybe some things didn't convert when they converted to Kindle. Maybe some files were lost. There are problems when websites convert. So maybe something that was published on the Amazon website is just no longer there because of the conversion to Kindle. I don't know.
I'll have to ask them. Yeah,
I definitely would, because this is your important book and it should be there. It should be the first in the search. It shouldn't not be there, you know?
Right. So I'm going to now just read you a synopsis. I don't feel that my voice is strong enough to be reading the whole book right now. So
Okay.
I will just read you a synopsis and we'll talk about what the synopsis of the first chapter says. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Negative motivation has been part of Zionism since its inception. Okay. Maybe you can repeat that sentence because your voice is stronger.
Okay, so negative connotation.
Motivation.
I can't. Okay, so
Yeah.
So it's something. Let me see if I can. It was something about the negative connotations regarding Zionism. Is that correct?
No, negative motivation.
Okay, negative motivations regarding Zionism
has been a part of Zionism.
Has been a part of Zionism, like negative motivations. So some people don't have the best motivation to be part of the Zionist movement. Is that what he's trying to say? Or
okay, let me explain. Anti-Semitism was one of the reasons that certain people decided they wanted to found the Zionist movement.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we don't like anti-Semitism, and it's still a problem, you know.
Yeah. So it wasn't just that people wanted to go back to their roots. It was that they weren't allowed to join other people where they were.
No, they weren't. They had to leave. Like, okay, I've been doing research on my own family tree, right? I've told you about that, right?
Yes.
And I know, I look at some of the names on my mom's side of the family, and I know many generations back, some of them were Jewish. I know that, like of the faith practicing. And I think they lived in Spain, because I look at my DNA test and my uncle's result, and he has that Iberian, and he has, by the way, on the ancestry test, he has the it showed up that he is European Jewish, and that would show up on mine and go away. But anyway, that's not important. But there are people that had to leave Spain after the Spanish Inquisition. They could no longer live there. They weren't allowed to, they had to leave their own country, basically, right? And
there were other people who chose the other way. At least they were given a choice. They were given a choice to renounce. And if they became Catholic, they were accepted. But there were other places. It sounds funny, but other places that were worse than the Spanish Inquisition, because they didn't even give people a chance to assimilate.
That's true. Like certain parts of Europe, right? In Central Europe.
Yes. And certainly under, by the time it came to the Nazis, it didn't matter what faith you were. If they decided you were Jewish, even if you didn't think so.
Yeah, even if you were just a secular person and you were living your life, they could just say, well, there were a lot of problems with that, It's scary.
Yeah. So anti-Semitism in Europe, culminating in bloody pogroms in Russia, drove reinforcements to the struggling Hebrew settlement in Palestine. But as the drama unfolded, the participants found a host of positive motives. Okay, so what would you think the positive motives would be?
for relocating to Israel, to come to Israel. I think the positive motives would be you would be able to move to a place where if you're secular and you're being like grouped with this group of people, you can just live your life and have the kind of like you could learn Hebrew, but do it on your own terms and not just be kept from owning a business. Like you could just live your own life, basically, right?
Yes, but it was even more than that. It was going back to the roots of
where you came from, right?
Right, right. So that was the new Palestinian community rediscovered some of the traits required for sovereignty. Okay, what are those? One, control of land. Two, mastery of agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And a full spectrum of occupations, skills.
Yeah, you weren't being narrowed down to what occupations you could be in, right? You could choose your occupation, correct?
Absolutely. And spreading in population and armed militancy, which means you could serve in the military.
Because I think in parts of Europe, certain people, they were not allowed to serve in the military if they wanted to. Is that correct?
I think so. I think that's true.
I remember reading that, and there were parts of, I don't know, Poland that people had to leave like back in the 1500s. I've just read various stories, and it wasn't always a bit, Europe was very problematic for a very long time. Let's just put it that way. I know now they're like, oh, we're the EU, we're accepting of everybody, but that was not the case for many centuries.
Yeah. So each of these was a step away from the tradition of the Jewish communities from which their parents originated. So they were moving away from the way their parents and their parents' parents lived as Jews of the diaspora.
Yeah, they were going back to more of their agrarian roots where they could maybe have a farm and plant crops, right? If they chose to do so.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And with each step grew the gulf between the new Israeli and his cousin, the intellectual, service-oriented, urban, pacifistic, traditional Jew. Okay, so that's the contrast.
Yeah.
The unreligious nature of the Hebrew settlement is stressed, and the role of the religious minority within it is described. Against all precedent, the new community revived the ancient language of the land and identified with it. With immigration restricted, a new culture bloomed and sheltered from outside influences. It molded a unique spirit that was put to demanding tests and passed. It took on the British Empire to claim sovereignty and won. We withstood the onslaught of 5 Arab countries and held and broke it. So that's what that chapter is about.
Wow, this sounds really interesting. It's fascinating information and history.
Right. I don't think we'll actually read the whole chapter though.
Oh, no. But I would like to encourage anybody, and I know a lot of people are interested in this era of history, that maybe they can order your book if that's something they want to learn more about.
Yeah, it's my father's book. It's by Amnon Katz. It's not by me, but I do sell them. So I would be very happy to sell anybody who wants one a copy, and you can order it on Amazon.
Okay.
If you have trouble finding it on Amazon, send me an email and I will make sure you get one.
Is there any way that, I know you're not the author, but is there any way that you can make it more prominently like displayed in the Inverted A collection of books? Because to me, this book is important. That's just my thought,
It is important. And you know what, Julia? I kind of need your help, maybe.
Okay, I can help you. I think I'm getting better at this technology.
Okay, so here's the thing. I still own the Inverted A site,
Hmm.
You know, there's a website.
Yeah.
I still pay for it. It's still up there, but there's some kind of a glitch about it because it's Drupal. You know, do you know?
Oh, yeah, Drupal. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a Hungarian guy who said he would teach me how to do Drupal.
I
So
hate.
I opened it on Drupal and now nobody can help me. I don't know what to do, but I still own the site. I would like to revamp it though, because it's no good right now.
My recommendation, if possible, is to convert it somehow to WordPress, unless you want to keep it on Drupal. Do you want to keep it on Drupal is my question, or?
I don't want to keep it on Drupal. I would much rather go to WordPress, but I don't want to lose the things that are already there. I don't want to just like erase everything and start.
Yeah, you want to like, there's gotta be a way. Like, I probably can Google how you can convert a Drupal website to a WordPress website. I think that there's got to be a way to do it.
Okay, well, I would like to do that. And when I do that, of course, this book will have a prominent position there.
Yeah, that's just, well, then I would like to maybe look into that, because it would be something interesting to share. I think knowledge on a live stream, it might be something that can help us. And I've been trying to re-enhance my use of computer technology as well, just like function keys. Like, there are ways you can, and I've kind of known this for years, but just ways you can use the computer more functionally, like where you can make just Chrome or whichever browser you have, you can assign it a function key and you press that and it pops up. And it's alleviated so much stress for me. Silly thing, but I think that there are logical ways that we can fix these problems. And I think I can look into how we could help your Drupal site maybe convert to WordPress.
Okay, that would be great. That would be something I would want to do. You know, not necessarily at once, but within the
But
coming.
over time, yeah.
Yes,
I think it can help your search results too. I think maybe, you know, it might be good for your conversion rate.
right. Yeah, so that's something we can do. But over time, I will continue to read my new parts of this book to spark interest, and also because I think these concepts are difficult for people to grasp. They're so used to thinking about all of this one way, and I would like over time to get them to think of it another way.
Well, to me, it's kind of simple, because we have the Phoenicians, right, which were the forerunners of all these people. And I think if you can just think about it this way, maybe I'm explaining it too simplistically, but everybody has Phoenician heritage that has kind of been appropriated by all these modern movements that just want to kind of like, not, you're different, but we all have similar roots, is what I'm trying to convey.
Right. And did you know that there are still practitioners of the ancient religion?
Ooh, that's interesting. Does Nassim Taleb, he seems kind of interested in Phoenician things.
No, he, poor guy, they got him early and he's a Greek Orthodox. And so he's not one of those practitioners.
He's
but
not,
I know.
Does he converse with them?
I don't know. I know he's fascinated by it. I know he's, you know, because when he was writing about the church that he went to, that his grandmother went to, there was a place there was an altar and there was a place for the blood to run. And it was obviously an ancient temple that was turned into a church. You know what I'm saying? It was.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, this happened quite frequently, very frequently, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's fascinated by it. But as you know, I'm not Greek Orthodox, and he also buys into certain rituals of the Greek Orthodox Church.
Okay.
We have a friend who is more into that. So.
No, I know. So, like, for me, my background's interesting because I'm part Syrian, but what I found out was, you know, in Syria, it was just like the Jewish, like, when you look at the genealogy society, it'll be like, they'll talk about the Jewish community in Aleppo and the Christian community and the Muslims, and they were all the same people, and they all talk about genealogy being from the same region, and it wasn't like they were different groups, but they all acknowledged that common heritage, and it wasn't like a big deal, you know. I don't know, but it's more Lebanese this is the part that's confusing to me. Not really, but I kind of knew all along because 23andMe would say I was more Lebanese. And then I asked somebody, they're like, well, that's because your ancestors used to live in Lebanon, which was weird. Like how they ended up there. They were Presbyterians, and obviously they had converted. But I'm always curious, like, why did they convert to Presbyterianism? Like, I never really figured out why.
Somebody
So
from
interesting.
somebody from Scotland must have come and converted them.
Yeah,
Presbyterian.
Yeah, and I think they were living in Lebanon, okay, when they converted, but for some reason they moved to that little village, and I wonder why. Like, nobody really seems to know the answer. I don't know. It's so weird.
Okay, maybe you'll find out.
I kind of was talking to someone about it, but then it got weird because, like, I was trying to be friendly with them, but they so, I don't know. I don't want to, like, dwell on the past or anything, but they told me I was boring, and it just kind of offended me because I don't know, like, just one day that person came to me and said I was boring and I could be more interesting if I posted different things, and are those really my mom's flowers that I'm posting about? And it just kind of took me aback because I was just being nice to this person, and that was the person that kind of seemed to know more about it, and I can't really talk to him anymore about it because I guess he thought I was boring. And then, like, even though he said something that kind of offended me, he unfriended me on Facebook, so we don't really talk anymore. And I don't really talk to his son anymore because I guess they decided I was boring. I don't know what I did to them. I never did anything to them personally. I was just posting things that I thought were interesting. And he came to me one day and said that I needed to work more because I'm boring. I said, you know, actually I work. And when I'm online, I'm a blogger and I'm posting things I like.
Yeah.
It was so strange. So he was the one that had the answers, and I think it's just kind of lost now. Like, unless I were to really go back and figure it out myself, I don't really know why. But what I do know is that at one time, everybody used to be a Phoenician. You know, I know that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll find other cousins and other relatives who are not so easily distracted.
Well, that was the thing. He was my one contact that lived in Syria still, and he knew things. Everybody else had immigrated because this was the story about that. You know, it was hard. Like, if you were a Christian at that time period, like, it was hard to, like, own land or make a living there, you know, because it wasn't the Ottomans. It was a particular leader in that region that was Dres, which was interesting. I don't know why, that there was like some sort of conflict between the Christians and the Dres, and a lot of Christians immigrated at that time because it was easier to own land and to make a living. So a lot of my distant cousins have immigrated to America. It was I didn't live at that time. I don't have all the answers. I would like to figure out more about that, like, but it seemed like that conflict spurred many people to immigrate during that time period.
Okay, well, I think the truth is still out there. This is why I think, you know, people should not declutter too much because, you know, there are family history artifacts and it can help answer those questions.
I think I could find the answer, but what I would have to do is I'd probably need to go farther back, speak to like a more distant cousin, maybe somebody who lived in, that knows more about Lebanon, to find out these answers. You know, that's all. I think.
Yes.
I think that would. It. But you know, that was just my little genealogy story of going 200 years back.
Yeah. There are people who have YouTube channels and who are practicing the religion that is described in the Ugaritic text. And so there's a guy who just recently released some copyright-free Phoenician music or something like that.
Okay, I like this. Can you use it in a video, Aya?
Well, I think that's what he means. So I'm going to look into his channel some more and see if we can maybe invite him or do an interview.
Yes, I would love. I think this is such a great topic. I would love to hear what he has to say and like what has spurred him to investigate his Phoenician roots. That would be a brilliant topic.
Yeah, yeah. Now, sometimes he's kind of funny and irreverent, but you know what? I think way back when people just took those religions for granted, they didn't feel they have to be reverent all the time. They could laugh about their gods and with their gods, and it wasn't like their gods had to be perfect either, you know?
I know. It wasn't like, oh, you would be fined for kissing your wife on the Sabbath, or you could be beheaded because you didn't, it was a little bit more just like having a sense of humor about it.
Right. Yeah, it was allowed. It was allowed. You could have a sense of humor and you could have a preference. You could like this God a little bit better than that God, but still believe they both were there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just like, oh, like I'm a jealous God. You can't have any other gods before me, like in the Old Testament, like just me, only me.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Of course, I probably
So,
should do that because I might offend somebody. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm just kind of showing like the sense of humor to it.
right. No, I'm not going to unpublish that. No, I think that was genuine. That was good. Yeah, so I don't know if this is of interest to anyone. That's just one of the books from Inverted A Press.
Well, see, would you say that this was like the book that started the press itself, or were there other books that were published before that one?
There were other books. I'll get the newsletter and I can read the back of our old newsletter. We always had a list of our old titles. So the first one was the Dry Collection of Subversive Literature. You hear that?
The something about subversive literature, the publication,
the Dry Collection. Dry.
The dried collection of subversive literature. It's dry, like it's like not what you would. It's subversive, but it's not like people think, oh, it's so maybe scholarly. They wouldn't like have dug deep enough, but if they started digging deeper, they'd realize, oh, this is kind of subversive and controversial.
Right. And then there was a novel by myself. The Few Account was first published by Inverted A Press.
I remember that one.
Yeah. And then there was a novella, Damned in Hell by A.A. Wilson. And there was Fistful of Filk, Inverted A Classics, which is poetry. A Child Possessed, which is poetry. The Blake Bunch, which is a filk book. Inverted Blake, which is a Blake 7 zine. There Can Be Gods, which is poetry. Liberty and Justice, Why, How, and For Whom. This was a very small booklet that, again, it was an article written by my father. But it's not really book length, but just kind of like a pamphlet. And let's see what else. Inverted Blake number 2, Undimmed by Tears, which is a short story collection. Tested Positive by J.D. Collins. It's a novel about the perils of drug testing people when they get wrong.
Yeah.
And then there was Israel, the Two Halves. It's by my father. It was written it was published in 1999 and then died in the year 2000.
I think that book can live on after him. I feel like there's something very powerful in that book that is his life's work. I really do. I think more people need to find out about it.
Yeah, well, my father had other books, you know. I will share something from my book. This is just one of the many books. And this is not Inverted A Press. This is, let's see what the press is called. It's academic press, New York and London. It's
Oh, wow.
and the book is called Classical Mechanics, Quantum Mechanics, Field Theory.
Oh, yeah, because your dad he worked at what was the university, the Weizmann Institute?
Yeah, the Weizmann Institute. He was a professor of physics.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's part of my book collection here in England. Not all the books that I have here are books that I can read. Some of them go way over my head, and they're not necessarily books that Sword or Bo will read, but I'm thinking maybe there will be grandchildren who will be able to read those.
There might be grandchildren, or you never know. What if I don't know, like somebody who's interested in Project Bo years from now? You never know who might be interested in one of your books.
Right. So I don't throw away the books, even though there are some books I know I will probably never read.
No, it's good to keep your books. I mean, I have books. I have a lot of books, and I have not thrown books away because I think that would be horrible to throw away your books. It's good to have a hard copy of books because digital format it can be altered. It can crash. It might not convert to a Kindle conversion. There's a lot of problematic things in, like, okay, with the digital format, like, okay, if a library has a book, anybody can check it out for the life of the book. Like, it's not going to be damaged. But now with the ebooks, some of the publishers say, well, all the libraries have to pool their funds together, and the ebook's going to be like 7 times the price as if you bought just the regular book, or somebody donated their own copy of the regular book. And you can only check it out like 3 or 4 times, and then it's gone. And if the libraries want to have that book again, they have to repurchase the digital rights to it all over again.
That's overreaching.
Yeah, that's why, like, okay, I'm not a big fan of the ebooks. Like, I like the internet. It has its purposes, but I still think many people love printed books, and they're never going to go out of style, ever. There will always be people that want to buy a printed book just because it's accessible. You can take it with you. If there's a power outage like there was the other night, did I tell you about the power outage?
Oh, yeah, at the library?
Yeah, there was a power outage, and you can't look anything up when the power goes out. You can't read your e-reader when the power goes out, but you can still read a book. What if there's a power outage for several days? What if you lived in Florida where there's a hurricane and you're going to lose the content on your ebook maybe because you won't have access to it? But if you have a book, like a family book that you love, you could take that with you if you move. Like right now, some of these people, I feel really bad for these people. They're being told, well, you kind of are being forced to sell your wrecked house to the government, or you can continue to live in wrecked house. And this one lady says she feels like she's being pressured by the government to sell her wrecked house so they can level it, which I don't know why. But and if she moves, her ebooks might have been damaged, but she could take a family book with her, a printed book.
Right. Yeah. So did I tell you that I went to visit Sword in Springfield yesterday, and we stopped at Barnes and Noble.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I looked at all the books. I was tempted to buy Snowden's book, Permanent Record, but since I can have it for free on Audible, I didn't buy it. Do you think I made a mistake?
Maybe not, unless you really, really want to read that book and you think it's a good book to have in your collection. You could go back.
Yeah.
Another thought too, if you really want that book, the nice thing about Amazon is there's always going to be somebody that's selling that book for even a cheaper price than what you saw at Barnes & Noble, and maybe you can get a really good, almost pristine edition of it delivered to your house via Amazon as a printed book if you really want it. So I don't think you made a mistake, because you probably could find an even more. But I do think if somebody really wanted that book, like just love that topic, then yes, they should buy the book, because the book is usually better than the Audible version, in my opinion, or the e-Kindle version. I'm just not the biggest fan of the Kindle books, honestly.
Yeah. No, I didn't get it on Kindle. I do have it on Audible because I figure I can sit around with Bo and he can be grooming me and we can be listening to.
It. Okay, so I started listening to the Nassim Taleb's book and I thought it was really entertaining. Okay, and I was having fun listening to it, but then somebody said, "What is that? Oh my gosh, what are you listening to?" Because they were talking about like nations, this and that. She goes, "Is that like a sermon or something?" I'm like, "No," and it just like I kind of feel like I'd have to find time. Like I'm gonna try to make a time to listen to it a bit more because I did listen to it for an hour one day. And I kind of was getting it a bit more than when I just sat down to read it. There was something about the Audible version in Nassim Taleb's book that was easier to digest. And I never was into audiobooks before, but with his book, I need to keep listening to it, you know?
Yeah, no, I did listen to a number of his books on Audible. So although I did the first one that I read, The Black Swan, I did read in a paperback.
Yeah, I remember you read that in a paperback format. I did start reading some of them actually, but I haven't finished them or anything. But it's not that I don't want to finish books anymore. Like I love to read, don't get me wrong. It's just I feel like when I get free time, I'm trying to work on a creative project, so it's hard for me to allocate my time accordingly. That's all, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I really need to take some lessons from Nassim Taleb about statistics. It's coming up a lot. And last night when we were talking with Kate Gladstone, I got a little bit distracted because she mentioned stuff that's going on in linguistics. And actually, linguistics isn't that different from graphology sometimes because they rely too heavily on statistics. So what happens when you have the statistical situation is that sometimes, they'll have a rule, they'll say, this never happens. And then I can say, look, it happened. It happened here. It happened there. So the way logic works is if there is just one instance that it happened, then what they said is not true. It's not true. You just disproved that rule. But what they say now is, oh no, that's statistically insignificant. So we'll just throw that out and our rule is great. And we'll pretend that never happened.
Yeah. That's I don't have a statistics background, so like when somebody starts talking about that, I can listen, but I'm not gonna have a lot of input because my degrees were more on the humanities side of the spectrum. I'm sorry, I'm just not a statistician.
Yeah, me neither. So I thought it would be really great to get some instruction from Nassim Taleb on that issue since he knows a lot about it.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I enjoy listening to when people talk about statistic related subject matter. I just might not have a lot to input, and I will just remain quiet though if I don't feel like I have anything to say on the topic. But I think it's great that Nassim Taleb or Kate could speak on these topics. I'm just not going to comment on that particular. Like everything that Kate says, I thought. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just got distracted because she was talking about exactly the same issue that I have with linguistics, only she was talking about graphology,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, it makes sense. She talks, I think, has she wrote a book? Speaking of books.
Has she written a book? Is that what
yes,
you're saying?
on all of her writing.
She has a publishing contract for a book.
Oh yeah, she's gonna write a book. So that's another thing we could look forward to, just thinking of books.
Yes, yeah, we
have her on
to her for Inverted A.
Yeah, have her on here when the book comes closer to publication time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think maybe that pretty much concludes what we had to say today. But it looks like a lovely day out there where you are.
Yeah, it's very nice here. No complaints, except I'm sitting in ants.
Oh no.
It's the
You're
only place.
sitting in ants?
Yes, it's the only place I could put my phone, but like I realized the ants
Oh,
crawl up me, but I don't know. It's just an ant, whatever. But it's a nice view, but there's some ants here. So I have
okay.
you
Well,
on
then
a trash.
I'll let you get away from those ants. I don't want you to be eaten up.
I'll be okay, but it's the only place I should have brought the selfie stick with me. That would have fixed the problem. But anyway, it was interesting hearing about your father's book, and I hope maybe you can read a bit more from it in another episode.
Okay, we'll do that. And you have a wonderful day, Julia.
Okay, you too. Bye, Aya.
Bye.